Okay, I'm back, and we're still talking about pricing this bond issue. Again, we are selling 100 bonds, each has a par value of $1,000, and the bonds pay interest at 6% per annum. So each interest payment is $6,000. And the way we calculate the price of the bond is that we need to do two separate present value calculations. First question is, what will this bond pay to the investor or to the lender, the buyer of the bonds? Well, the first thing it will pay is $6,000 at the end of each year for 4 years. And in financial terms, we would refer to that as an annuity. An annuity would be a series of equal payments that occur over a period of time. To do that calculation, the present value of an annuity, we would use the present value of an annuity table, which is in Appendix C. On page C-17, and that is table C4. Now, how it's done, what I did was I drew a timeline showing 4 time periods, or 4 years. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the current time period, where we are at now, would be referred to as the present value. And so I've diagrammed these payments to show that we will be paying, or another way to look at it, it can be confusing. The investor or the lender will be receiving, and we are the borrower or the issuer of the bonds. We are selling those bonds. In effect, we are borrowing money. We will be paying this interest. So we will pay $6,000 at the end of year 1, $6,000 at the end of year 2, $6,000 at the end of year 3, and $6,000 at the end of year 4. And so the formula that we can use to do the calculation of the present value of those future payments is present value is equal to factor times 1 payment. Now, when we refer to the factor, we are referring to the table C4 factor, and we find the factor based on variables n is equal to 4, and n refers to the number of periods. In our example, we have 4 periods, 4 years, 4 periods. So the factor is based on the n variable, and it's also based on the I variable, and the I refers to the interest rate. And it's very important to note that whereas our stated rate and the amount of our payment is based on the rate of 6%, when we do the present value calculations to price the bond, we use the market rate of interest in coming up with the factors from the present value tables. So again, when we present value the annuity of interest payments over the term of the bond, we go to table C4, which is the present value of an annuity table, and we find the factor for the number of periods and the interest rate. The number of periods are 4 for 4 years, and the interest rate is 4% for the market rate of interest. If you go to that table, you will see that the factor is 3.6299. Our calculation is to multiply the factor times 1 payment. And so 1 payment is $6,000. We multiply that by the factor 3.6299. And so the present value of those interest payments is $21,780. Now, what does that mean? Notice, or think about it, I should say. What is the total of 4 payments of $6,000 each? Well, 6 times 4 is 24, so the total of those payments is $24,000. Our present value calculation is $21,780. What is the difference between the $24,000 to be received over the next 4 years and the $21,780, which is the present value of those payments? And that amount is roughly $3,200 roughly. I'm sorry, $2,200. $2,200. What is that difference? That difference is interest at 4% per annum. So another way to look at it, this would just be another way to look at it, is if we invested $21,780 today at 4% per annum, we would receive over 4 years $24,000. Now that's a little bit of an oversimplification, but I just offer that to you as a means to help you understand it. That's one calculation to price a bond. The second calculation is to do a similar calculation of present value for the second type of payment that the bond makes. And the second payment is to repay the entire principal at maturity. And that's a single payment. So that is a payment of $100,000 4 years from now. And so the calculation is very similar. The formula that we use is very similar. But we use a different present value table. And the table we use for the second calculation is table C2 on page C15. And that is the present value of 1. So the first calculation was from the present value of an annuity table, series of equal payments. And the second calculation is from the present value of 1 table for 1 payment. The process is very similar. The formula is the present value is equal to the factor times the payment. The factor for the second calculation is taken from table C2, present value of 1, for n number of time periods equal to 4 years, and I, the market rate of interest, equal to 4%. And so if we go to that table C2, we would find that the factor at the intersection of periods equal 4 and interest rate equals 4, that factor is 0.8548. And so the calculation would be to multiply the future payment, $100,000, times the factor, 0.8548, to give us a present value of $85,480. Now again, what is the difference between the $85,480 and that payment to be received 4 years from now of $100,000? That difference is interest at 4%. So again, in an effort to hopefully help you understand how this works, if we were to invest $85,480 now in an account paying 4% per annum, in 4 years, this $85,480 would grow to become $100,000. So by doing the present value calculation, we are working backwards. We are working from the future back to now. And we are assuming that all the payments being made in the future include interest at the market rate of interest. So in this example, we assume that these $6,000 payments include interest at 4%, and we assume that this $100,000 payment at the end of 4 years also includes interest at 4%. And so we have taken the interest out via these present value calculations. Now we have two separate amounts, and we need to continue this on the next page. We take the present value calculation of the annuity and the present value calculation of the lump sum payment at the end of 4 years, the principal repayment. We add them together and we find that the total present value, or the price of this bond issue in total, will be $107,260. That is the bond issue price. Now keep in mind, our bond issue has a par value of $100,000. So we are, in essence, borrowing $100,000. But when we sell this bond issue, we will actually receive $107,260, or $7,260 more than we have to repay. And before we talk about that, I'm going to end this lesson and come back to a third lesson.